clear steering, and welcome. Wait a minute. Something's missing. Oh, I know. That's better. Now we're ready to welcome you to what we hope will be the first of a new series called Reading While Dissociated, in which we take media that doesn't explicitly mention dissociative identity disorder and look at it through a DID lens. First up is QuinRose's Wonderful Wonder World, that's hard to say, Wonderful Wonder World franchise, better known to English-speaking fans as Alice in the Country of, or HnKNA, which is an abbreviation of the first Japanese title, Hato no Kuni no Arisu. Here's a small fraction of our collection, including an Italian translation. Yes, we stand. It all started with the Hato no Kuni no Arisu otome game. Wait, we better explain what that is. Buckle up, it's lore time. Shout out to Sarah Zed. Love your work. First, some Japanese vocab. Let's break it down. In Japanese, otome game refers to a game wherein a female main character pursues romance and has a number of potential suitors to choose from. Usually male, but sometimes female. The main character is usually intentionally a blank slate to make it easy for the player to insert themselves into the story in her place. Keep this in mind for later. The player directs the story by making a number of decisions, similar to a choose-your-own-adventure story. The games are usually heavily text-based and are sometimes called visual novels in English. These games can get pretty spicy, but don't cross the line into porn. There's a different genre for that. And fan fiction. Otome is Japanese for maiden, and is written with the same kanji as the constellation Virgo. The games and the franchises born from them are aimed at young women 16 and up. English-speaking fans have come to use otome to refer to the whole sushi platter. Sometimes you'll see otome game contracted to otoge. And yes, there are games aimed at both heterosexual and homosexual men. We thought we should show you an actual otome game in action. We can't show you Hato no Kuni no Arisu because the iOS port doesn't exist anymore. More on why later. So let's go into our otome folder on our phone. We're going to open Amnesia Memories, a game by otome powerhouse Otomate subcompany Idea Factory. We'll refer to them both as Otomate, but if you're having trouble finding a specific franchise, try looking under Idea Factory. Like Hato no Kuni no Arisu, Amnesia has a card game theme. You play a college student who has amnesia. Your goals are to recover your memories, figure out who's safe to tell about your amnesia, fool everyone else, and avoid getting killed before you get your man. We're gonna shut up so you can hear the Japanese voice actor here.
Ah, 目開けた。気分はどう？どこか痛んだりしない？僕のことわかる？ああ、よかった。生きてた。本当にびっくりしたよ。殺しちゃったんじゃないかと思った。僕は決して怪しいものじゃないよ。君を鈍器で殴ったんでもないし、崖から突き落としたんでもないし、自動車で引いたわけでもないから。それじゃあ僕が一体何者なのかっていうと、まあひょんなきっかけで君の精神に入り込んじゃったってだけの精霊なんだよね。こいつ一体何なのとか、この状況は何事なのとか、ツッコミ入れてくれるとありがたいんだけど。ねえ君、本当に大丈夫？僕のこと見えてる？うわ、要望通り冷静なツッコミありがとう。でも僕別に変な子じゃないから。君とは存在のあり方が違うだけだから。だって精霊だし。
So you get the idea. We're going to go into the gallery and we're going to show you a little bit about each romantic interest. You collect these images as you play and unlock special goodies for each partner. This should give you a feel of what the romance part of these games is like. Here's Sheen. He's the suit of hearts guy. This is Kent. He's the suit of clubs. And we'll show you an actual scene here.
すまない、緊張した。君にはみっともないところばかりを見せているな。我ながら嫌になる。だが、こんな私でも君は受け入れてくれるんだな。こんなことなら、もっと早く気持ちを言葉にしておけばよかった。毎日そう思っている。君もそう思ってくれているのなら嬉しいのだが、君の場合はそういうことではないのかな。
And this is Iki. He is the suit of spades. Toma is our favorite suit of diamonds. And Ukyo serves as the Joker. You have to complete all four of the other worlds, all four of the other suits to unlock Ukyo. Now we gotta put a caveat or two in here. Japanese society still has very rigid gender roles and misogyny is rampant. We recommend thoroughly researching any otome game you're thinking of playing. Unfortunately, a lot of them are heavily non-consensual, and many also include graphic violence and references to kink. At the same time, things like just holding hands in public are a big deal. So please research first and make some allowances for cultural differences. Otomate and Voltage are our two favorite companies. If you'd like a rhythm game twist, also check out Uta no Prince Sama, a.k.a. Dupre, links in the description below. Also look into the money and ownership angles. Otomate lets you buy access to each guy's route individually or all of them at a discount. They're a very stable company and unlikely to go anywhere. Voltage, on the other hand, chose to collect all of their English versions, which were previously individual games, into their Love 365 subscription-based service. You only had a limited time to transfer your data, meaning access to all the stories you spend hundreds of dollars on, to Love 365. We'd taken a break from otome gaming and missed the window. Yes, we're still bitter. So any app you buy through the iOS store or Google Play for that matter is basically a rental. If the company fails to keep up with iOS updates or goes bust, foreshadowing, you're SOL. No game for you. If this bothers you, consider getting a physical version. Note this will mean getting a Japanese game console or modding one sold in your country because region codes. We think those should be obsolete by now. There are also game emulators, but that comes with legal issues. Finally, think about your budget and how likely you are to impulse spend. We can attest that otome companies are very good at getting your money, so proceed with caution, yo. And now back to Haatu no Kuni no Alis. But lore time isn't over yet. Next up is a history lesson. QuinRose was an otome game company born in 2005. They released a number of games in Japan, but the one that really took off with English-speaking fans was Ha'a no Kuni no Aris. It all started with this game release, soon followed by Anniversary no Kuni no Aris, Clover no Kuni no Aris, Joker no Kuni no Aris, Omochabako no Kuni no Aris, Diamond no Kuni no Aris, Diamond no Kuni no Aris Mirror World, Ha'a no Kuni no Aris Twin World. And that is not counting all the manga, light novels, fan books, music, drama CDs, data CDs, the movie, the musical, the revival, and the cancelled OVA. Whew. Now, we were part of the first wave of American otaku, and we have the VHS fan subs to prove it. This was back in the 90s. There was a strong ethical core to the fan base. Once a series was licensed in the US, fan subbers would no longer distribute their videos, and anyone who had a fan sub was expected to purchase the officially licensed version to support the creators and the growing anime presence in the US. Anime companies were known for using a series' fan sub popularity to determine whether to license it in the US, and turning a blind eye to this fan activity. Then scanlations appeared on the internet. Scanlation teams take manga that hasn't been licensed outside of Japan yet, scan it, digitally remove the Japanese, replace it with their language, and upload it to the internet. The problem? It's a lot easier to stop distribution of a VHS tape. Even if the scanlation team is ethical, they can't remove their scanlation from the net. Unethical or just unthinking fans upload them to manga reading websites. And many among the second wave of otaku don't feel obligated to buy the licensed version. After all, piracy is rampant, and it's easy to find most popular titles online for free. We don't think these folks realize they're harming the very industry that creates the media they love. This kind of piracy has been heavily implicated in the downfall of American anime companies such as Tokyopop, and was a player in causing QuinRose's bankruptcy. Their American division went down first, meaning the English iOS port of Ha'a no Kuni no Aris disappeared from the App Store. But piracy wasn't QuinRose's only problem. Management was reportedly toxic. One artist, Taira Mia, discovered her game art had been altered to create a porn version. Did QuinRose legally have the rights to do so? Not really. In Japan, an artist can sue for reputational damage, making Taira Mia's work pornographic, and passing it off as hers was both legally and ethically wrong. Management also failed to tell employees of the pending bankruptcy, and it's unclear whether they were ever paid. Prior to filing bankruptcy in 2015, CEO and lead writer Satsuki Ko moved all QuinRose's intellectual property under her name so it could not be sold to pay creditors. To quote HnKnA from Ugu Cage of Love, "If that ain't douchebaggery, I don't know what is." Check out her write-up on the whole situation, link in the description below. So, farewell, fair QuinRose, right? Wrong! In May 2019, otome giant Otomate, told you they'd be back, announced they are releasing Spade no Kuni no Aris for Nintendo Switch under the QuinRose Reborn label. Key artists from the original Ha'a no Kuni no Aris lineup are involved, including Satsuki Ko. Twisty, huh? And then there's the Seven Seas translation debacle. We'll try to keep it brief. Basically, the woman in charge of localizing the English translation got on her feminist high horse and decided to drastically change Blood Dupre, the Mad Hatter's dialogue, and some of Alice's responses to emphasize what the translator saw as raging misogynist assholery. An example is in order. This is what Blood says in the original. In English, I ended up getting in your way. Why not give me a chance too, young lady? It's a minimal apology, but I believe I can definitely make it worth your while. And the 7 C's version. Did I spoil your budding orgy? I'd like to get in on that, little tart. Maybe my skills can make up for some of your lost lays. What the hell? Yes, Blood loves to flirt, tease, and confuse the heck out of Alice. He is very dangerous, but we think concealing that danger underneath his gentlemanly manner makes him more sinister and fun. And she also decided to twist Peter White's lines to make him rhyme, because Disney. Again, we think this change made Peter less frightening. It's also super annoying. Those are just some of the questionable changes. There's a link in the description below if you want more information. If you've never read manga before, here's how to do it. We'll use this 4-panel comic featuring our favorite characters, Elliot and the Bloody Twins. Follow the blue highlights. As you can see, manga read from right to left, top to bottom. Why? Well, when manga were first officially released in the United States, publishers mirrored the pages so they would read left to right, like American comics. But this caused some cultural information to go awry. We'll use famous Japanese artist Kitagawa Utamaru's print Toji-san Bijin to illustrate. All 3 women are wearing their kimono with the left panel on top. Now if we flip the image, now they have the right panel on top, and in Japanese culture this means they're dead. Now everyone's caught up, we'll discuss the possible connections between the wonderful Wonder World and dissociative identity disorder. In case you're a Hato no Kuni no Arisu fan who doesn't know what the heck dissociative identity disorder is, basically it's what happens when a young child experiences repeated trauma. You can think of it like a form of extreme PTSD. The brain learns to become someone else and or go somewhere else in an attempt to deal with the trauma, resulting in multiple beings sharing one body. We're not going to define every term, so we'll link some channels where you can learn more in the description below. Hato no Kuni no Arisu features Alice Liddell. In Japanese, her last name, Rideri, sounds a lot like Ridare, or Rida, which is Japanese for reader. While the name comes from the Lewis Carroll original, this coincidence amuses us because as an otome heroine, the reader is supposed to insert themselves in Alice's place. Unlike most otome heroines, however, Alice is pretty spunky and has no interest in romance at first. We later found out that she was deeply traumatized by her first love dumping her for her older sister. It's also heavily implied that he had something to do with the older sister dying shortly after they hooked up. Yeah, and he was her tutor too. Super ethical, this guy. Shortly afterward, the White Rabbit took Alice to the country of Hearts in Wonderland. Now, you might not think that's traumatic enough to cause DID. First of all, we don't know what Alice experienced before this point. Even though she describes her life as normal, many children believe their abuse is normal until they learn about healthier relationships. And in the final analysis, it doesn't matter if Alice's experiences wouldn't have been traumatic for you, they were traumatic for her. The breakup and her sister's death, possibly at her former boyfriend's hands, can be viewed as the final blows that caused Alice to develop DID and escape to her inner world, Wonderland. Speaking of escaping, Alice is often shown spacing out or dissociating. Alice believes that her entire experience in Wonderland is a dream and all its inhabitants are delusions. One of the distinguishing features of DID is that it is typically a covert disorder. DID's entire purpose is to protect the multiple from abuse, and it can't do that as well unless it's hidden. Most systems do not discover that they are a multiple until their system decides their environment is safe and stable enough, and the parts that have been kept in the dark can handle learning the truth. The alters that are in charge of determining what the host has access to are known as gatekeepers. In Hato no Kuni no Arisu, Nightmare Gottschalk, a sickly incubus, acts as the primary gatekeeper, and Alice is a host that is unaware of her multiple status. Nightmare allows Alice to believe that Wonderland is a dream because it's safest for her, and the system as a whole, at this time. In this telling scene, Alice says that dreams aren't scary because you wake up. Nightmare contradicts her, asking, "What do you think is beyond a dream?" and shows her that dreams are frightening because when you wake up, you have to face reality. In DID terms, when the system learns the truth, they wake up and must cope with the reality of their multiplicity and their trauma history. Someone also has to front and cope with the outer world. Later on, Peter White tries to awaken Alice's memories so she will return his love. This visibly causes Alice distress, just as trying to break a memory block prematurely can make a multiple physically ill. Nightmare steps in and lulls her into forgetting again. Later, in Joker no Kuni no Alice, we see Nightmare actively repressing Alice's memories. It's easiest to think of the different countries in Wonderland, like the countries of Heart, Clover, and Joker, as alternate dimensions, some of which exist in a different time. Some characters only exist in one dimension. Our own inner world has multiple dimensions, and only a few alters can or want to move between them. Alters also sometimes go dormant and cannot be contacted for a while. For Alice, not being able to see characters, we will call them alters, that she'd become close to was very traumatic. In response, her inner world creates a state called April Season, so she can interact with all the alters at once, a space that is an exception to the normal rules that Alice's system operates by, which are referred to in the series as the rules of the game. Every system and inner world operates by its own logic, though it may seem illogical to an outsider. DID and its constituent parts, the alters and the inner world, are created and altered by need. This is done subconsciously, at least initially, though some systems have alters which can change their inner world. To paraphrase Nightmare, Alice didn't create her inner world, Wonderland. It simply exists, and it has no obligation to make sense to Alice, the host, or anyone else. In this scene, Alice reflects that she didn't wish for this. No system does. The way a system is created and grows is not something a system has a lot of conscious control over, and no one wants to endure the trauma that creates a DID. In Wonderland, there are role holders who are analogous to alters, and the faceless who are like NPCs, beings that exist in a system's inner world but who cannot front and control the body. Every alter serves at least one role in the system, such as protector, gatekeeper, or even hacker. Since Wonderland is based on a deck of cards, many of its internal rules trace back to card games. So does the flippancy about life, since a card can always be replaced. Peter can be seen as a protector whose job is to be especially ruthless. Multiple alters can have similar roles. For example, Julius Monray is responsible for resurrecting dead alters and NPCs, but he also serves as a memory keeper. Like Nightmare, Julius has information it would harm Alice to have at this time, so he hides it from her. In this scene, Nightmare reveals more of the system's inner logic and demonstrates that alters sometimes have conflicting goals. He states that Alice's feelings created Wonderland and all of its inhabitants, just as the system's emotions and subconscious create their inner world and alters. While Nightmare knows that eventually Alice must learn the truth about the trauma she experienced, Peter wants to protect her. His only motivation to help Alice recover her memories is that if she does, she will remember how much she loves him. But even if he wanted to, Nightmare can't keep the truth about her past from Alice forever. Each system has its own deadline, if you will, determined in part by the outer world safety and how close the part that believes they are a singlet is to discovering their multiplicity. Not every system gets the timing right. This scene shows Alice's protectors worrying about running out of time and having to reveal the truth to Alice before they think she's ready. The guy in the bottom left corner there was Blood Dupre. In Wonderland, he's the Mad Hatter, head of the Hatter Mafia Syndicate. The series presents him as one of Alice's primary romantic possibilities. But at first there's a lot of tension because Blood looks just like the asshat who dumped Alice for her older sister and maybe killed her, though he has a completely different personality. Blood guesses the truth and comes on to Alice, which freaks her out even more, and shows that Blood could be a type of interject. Interjects are alters that are based on people who were pivotal during a traumatic time. Usually these are abusers, but can also be people who were significant positives. As a personal example, our alter Sophia has her roots in Theodora, one of our childhood best friend's mom. She was the nurturing mother figure we needed, and so she was incorporated into the inner world. Like those with DID, Alice can hear her alter's voices inside her mind. In this scene, she hears Nightmare's voice, especially since this is when Peter first brings her to the inner world, Wonderland. The throbbing headache that she's experiencing could be due both to switching and to Nightmare breaking through barriers to speak to her. Let's go back to Joka no Kuni no Arasu for a bit and talk about the title character Joker. Here's the cover of the English version, Alice in the Country of Joker. Joker can be considered a subsystem. He is actually two people in one. Alice calls the circus master Joker white and the prison warden Joker black. We know there's some debate about whether Joker is really a split personality or not. We're going to settle that right now as far as we're concerned with Joker's official English bio. See that? He exists in two forms, white and black, which take turns controlling either his body or his mask. Sounds like a subsystem to us. Joker is also shown as one of the alters that Alice hears and sees when she spaces out in the inner world. We're partial to Black Joker. Sometimes DID systems can even see their alters in the outer world. Alice experiences this when she wakes up, and Blood appears in the outer world to bring her back to Wonderland. Blood says that it takes a lot of effort for an alter to appear in the outer world, but returning to the inner world is easy. You just have to let go and fall. Easy is an understatement, but this scene really spoke to us because falling asleep feels like being forcibly switched out. So it's hard for us to relax and let it happen. It feels like we're free-falling down a dark hole, kind of like Alice. We'd like to end on this note. Thanks for joining us for this first installment of Reading While Dissociated. If you're interested in experiencing any of the wonderful Wonder World franchise in the original Japanese, please click on the epilogue. We promise it'll save you a lot of frustration. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more. We don't have a regular upload schedule, so if you want to know when we upload something new, it's a good idea to hit that notification bell as well. If you have any ideas for media we should dissect through a DID lens, leave us a comment. Bye now.